Inkling is a really interesting character. She's part of the, when Ultimate came out, we all thought they were broken club, but little by little people started to realize her flaws and we all sort of just let her be, which is really sad because they are still really fun to play and Roller is still really stupid. Still, I think it makes sense for the Inkling hype to have died down by now because her weaknesses can be really annoying to deal with sometimes. The kill power isn't really there. You have to be comfortable accepting that fact if you play her. Sometimes you're just not gonna kill until really late percents. It's how it is. She also doesn't have the best out of shield game, but I mean, Inkling really isn't a shield heavy character anyway. And this character is still good, don't get me wrong. Like, this game is balanced-ish. Her quick moves and huge recovery make her amazing at edge guarding. She has cool free flow combos that do insane damage, especially with Ink. And she also naturally just dodges a bunch of stuff thanks to her low dash and good hurtbox shifting, which means she's all about deception, good movement, and catching people lacking. On the other hand, sword characters are one of the most consistently good and relevant characters out there in the meta. They're easy to pick up, they have straightforward moves, good damage, good speed, good kill power, but they can also struggle against projectiles, especially if they don't have any way to force approaches on their own, and their recoveries can be linear sometimes, but they're still good. And if they're quick on their feet, then these two weaknesses can become harder to exploit, so it's still possible to get destroyed by a character as simple as Lucina and not even know what you did wrong. So let's get into this video's title. It's relatively well known around the swordie player community that Inkling is not a fun matchup. I've heard people go on and on about how she's a swordie killer, an anti-sword character pick, and that sucks because I play a lot of swordies. So what's that all about? At a glance, she just looks like a regular brawler or Bane Punisher and someone who gets outranged by big swords, right? Why is she on every sword character's bad side of the matchup chart? The main thing, and I say this as a Lucina main, swordies like to press a lot of buttons, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. It's the way sword characters are meant to play. We do this to cover space. It's preemptive zoning. We do this to cover options. So forward air neutral can go a long way. It can be safe, it's big, it covers a bunch of options. We can double jump out of there sometimes or land with another aerial. It's a good play, and sneaking in other fast, almost lagless aerials and tilts into our movement is part of the swordie playstyle. When this stops being a good idea is when you're playing against characters like Inkling or Sheik or Greninja that are too fast for this strategy to work and are quick enough on their feet to slip past your wall of aerials and punish you anyway. If you're wondering like, hold on, my aerials are supposed to be safe on shield, what's up with that? Why can they punish it anyway? It's not necessarily because your aerials aren't safe on shield, it's mostly because shielding always has a price that you need to pay, because when you drop shield there are 11 frames of animation lag, and a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time those 11 frames are what end up making these aerials safe. Obviously this goes away when you parry something, and also there are moves that bypass the 11 frames, like a really quick up B out of shield or something, or when you jump the 11 frames are replaced by 3 frames, and if you have an aerial that comes out fast enough then that's cool. But if you're playing as Inkling and you're being really slippery, then instead of shielding you can just dash back and then dash back in. And if you do this, you're gonna have a lot more fun punishing things that you normally couldn't if you were to just shield it. Dashing back and grabbing or dashing back and punishing isn't something that's unique to Inkling. Ideally, if you want good footsies, you shield as little as possible, but Inkling just does better here because she's really fast and she has a really low dash, which means she just dodges things without even trying sometimes. So back to killing swordies. As a sword player, you are forced to be more precise with your aerials and use them to actually hit Inkling, instead of using them preemptively to cover a bunch of options and zone them out. This is why they can get away with effectively punishing disjoints despite not having the best range. So you might be thinking, okay, so she's fast, which means not having the best range isn't something she struggles with, cool. But also, what about someone like Mario, for example, or Falcon? They're also pretty fast. Why do they still struggle against disjoints? Well, it comes down to another property that Inkling has that I brushed over a little while ago, and that's her tendency to just low profile things thanks to her dash. It's like a passive ability she has. Her dash naturally beats a bunch of landing aerials, forcing sword characters to use even less attacks and focus more on empty movement, timing their aerials to hit as low as possible if they want to hit, and just be more precise in general, which isn't necessarily something swordies traditionally struggle with. Most sword characters are pretty quick, but it does mean they have to rely less on their optimal playstyle that's more about covering several options with one move, and be more precise and make sure that they're using moves only when they think they're gonna hit, unless they want to be left open for a punish. The low dash also messes up a bunch of out of shield plays like Lucina's Nair, for example, so you have to pick an option that will hit a dashing Inkling. In this example, Lucina does have up out of shield, but you get what I mean. She loses a bunch of other moves that could maybe get her better damage or have less risk involved. And then There's back air. Back air is really good. I avoided mentioning this when talking about why Mario and Falcon still struggle against sword characters, because this has to be its own section. But there's another reason why raw brawlers can struggle against swordies, and that is they don't have this insane back air. And also Inkling has 2 projectiles, but let's get into just the back air for now. It's really safe, it's really big, and while one disjoint isn't necessarily enough to beat an entire moveset full of them, it is a threat, and it can catch people who don't respect your range off guard. Back air can be really difficult to punish. It can beat aerials being used to edgeguard her, not to mention the combo potential. It helps Inkling not have to rely completely on slipping past disjoints. She also has her share of deceptively good range, like up B's hitbox being surprisingly difficult to tech off stage because of the super low amounts of hit lag. Her dash grab is huge. Neutral B is good at grab mix-ups. Splat bomb can help ledge trapping on stages with platforms. Inkling has deceptively good range that I think a lot of people miss when they mistakenly call them a pure brawler. So yeah, that's why Inkling destroys swordies. She forces them to be precision characters instead of zoners thanks to her raw speed and natural ability to just low profile a bunch of moves. Back air can sometimes compete with other disjoints, reverse edgeguards, and her other specials can trick opponents into making mistakes, which is where her great combos and edgeguarding come in. Also, weird coincidence, but her staple kill confirm, the booyah up throw up air, works surprisingly well with some swordies. I don't know why. I think this is just like bad luck for us sword players or something. And then she's also difficult to edgeguard and good at reversing advantage states, something that a bunch of sword characters usually shine in, forcing them to beat her more on stage than off stage, which in conclusion is not fun for sword characters. What the hell, Nintendo? Nerf this girl? What? Also, thanks to Goose Juice, Juice Goose, and Mr. C on the Inkling Discord. They helped me make sure I wasn't saying random stuff out my ass, and I actually got input from Inkling players and told you guys some real info. And that's the video. Cool. Also, subscribe to the live channel if you think I'm cool, or this one. Actually, no, stop. I'd rather you sub to this main channel. I'm trying to reach 5K subscribers by the end of the year. Very cool. Very nice. Thanks for watching. Bye.